Hello, everybody. What is up? What is new? And how are you? Hi, guys. It is so good to see you. What do I have for you today? We have Jeff, number 831. We have Yessie, number 947. Gage, number 974. And then we have Patrick, number 930. All here tonight to talk with us about their experience being in the top 10, competing for a spot in the top 6 on episode 9 of Beast Games. I am so thrilled to be sharing this with you guys. I am so thankful that all of these wonderful people have taken the time out of their very busy schedules to come hang out with us tonight. Let's not delay it all. I don't want to waste any time. Let's hop right into it. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I'm so happy to have you here to tell me about your experience on episode 9.
It was a wild one.
Yeah, it was. But before we do any of that, will you guys introduce yourselves and shout yourselves out?
Hi, everyone. I'm number 947, also known as Yesenia. You can follow me on anything as Yessie the Bear.
And I am Jeff 831, mostly legacy.831. Sometimes it's legacy 831, but Instagram, YouTube, X.
Jeff has awesome Beast Games related content. Please go check him out as well. I'm sure you've seen his content. He does an amazing job. Let's start with, I haven't heard either of your perspectives on going into the Tower Challenge knowing that you have a lot less money compared to everyone else. Were you nervous? Were you like Patrick where you were like, maybe it's better not to have as much money? Tell me about what was going on through your head.
I'd say for me, I took the second most by percentage, and I should have. I mean, granted, it was a tiny amount, but I also had the fourth most money out of everybody. So I was kind of in this weird spot where I'm like, oh my gosh, I took too much. The alliance got blown up. I just have to feel it out and see what I need to do. When I realized it was a voting thing, I kind of go, okay, I know a lot of these people. I feel like I built some good trust with these people, but then again, people could absolutely hate us after the magenta room. I was in a spot where I'm going to sit. We have 60 minutes. I'm going to chat it out and just see where everybody stands.
For me, I thought that after the magenta suite thing that we had with JC, where he started calling everybody out, the tide has just changed. I have an opportunity. And as soon as I heard all of the rules when we were on the tower, I was like, oh wow, this is my time to start trying. Like, I can do this. Essentially, I had lost all of my close friends. I had a good relationship with everyone, but essentially I wasn't anybody's favorite. I just started thinking, okay, how could I do this without lying? That was probably the most difficult thing for me. Yeah,
that seemed like the hardest part, being honest with your choices. I don't even fault Gage. I mean, total strategy, I get it. I know that would have scared me really bad. I would have been really scared looking at that, being like, oh god, how am I gonna get enough votes? How quickly did you guys realize it was gonna be Emma first? Was it something that you all sort of collectively knew right away, or was it something that you guys really talked about a lot and deliberated on over the phones?
Yeah, it was immediate. I don't know when it had came up. Maybe after we were done like prank calling each other the first 10 minutes of the tower. I think I said, yeah, I would be okay with Emma going first. I think it was just collectively we all wanted Emma to go through.
I've known her since the Pillars, with 830. Tawana I wanted her. I'm like, hey, she deserves to go first, in my opinion. She's always stepped up. She always delivers. Then I kind of quickly realized, okay, like once you go through, you can't vote anymore. And that kind of played into some strategy too. And so I was kind of torn. In my view, if Tawana even had the 6th pick, she'd get in. Granted, no one wants to wait that long. We're just chatting, and Emma kind of came up, and people said, hey, there's 2 people who want to vote for. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I think she is deserving, especially after she went through a couple days ago. She's played fair. So I gave her my support too, and we got to consensus pretty darn quick.
Emma's so sweet. That made me really happy to see. Emma gets picked. Jeff, weren't you second?
I was second. Yeah, I
wow.
was super fortunate.
Tell me about the process, the second pick. What was going on? Were tensions higher this time, or was it still sort of a consensus?
I think it felt like consensus, but like I felt a little tense. Obviously, Patrick 930 is my day one kind of ride or die, and I understood that he had a more unique road than I did. At least I had some money. He was the puppet master. He was viewed as the leader. He was a little bit more on the radar than I was. I felt like, okay, if Emma goes out, who actually chose him for bunk number 5, gave him the 5th key, and obviously trusts him, and I go out, is Patrick going to have enough votes? How do we get Patrick through first? And then I got a phone call from JC. I got another phone call, and I'm like what do I turn down these votes? Do I say, no, don't vote for me. Let's vote for Patrick. Then I got one more call that said, hey, you have my vote. I kind of just surrendered to it. I'm like, okay, like this is my time. I talked about it a little bit on episode 8, where I took 72. It's a number that's meaningful to me. 65% more than I should have. I didn't sleep well that night. I reacted. I felt stupid for taking more. So I'm like, I need to give the money back. I was supposed to give 718 back, but I gave 7750 because I wanted to get down to 4242, which is another number that's meaningful to me too. I ended up giving the money back to Yessie, Courtney, Queen, and Gage. It seemed like some of them put it to really good use, which was great.
I thought that was a very awesome move. I thought that showed a lot of integrity. I know that you technically took more than like splitting it even, but after like JC and Mikey, it was sort of like, well, I mean.
In episode 8, I was just shocked. I was just like, whatever, screw this. My favorite number, 72, give it to me twice. Yes, you can attest to it. I was so fired up. And then I get into the room and I love math. Like I'm a little math nerd. I'm like, what did I do? I did the math that night, kind of figured out what I needed to do. Just wanted to do it. Once I knew I was gone, I wanted to distribute it.
Before we went on the towers and we knew what the next challenge was going to be about dividing the money, Jeff was already apologizing to us and letting us know that if there was a way for him to make it right, he was going to. We didn't even ask him to do it or anything like that. I didn't want Jeff to give me back any of that money. We all understood why Jeff was in the competition. I was okay with it. A lot of integrity from you. 831.
Sorry to like backtrack to episode 8, but I just loved the confrontation moment that you had with JC when you sat down at the table with him. That was such a good moment though. Those were all things that he needed to hear, and I think you said it so well.
It's one of these things where I am by no means perfect. I've had enough friends and my wife, provide some tough love at times. And it's like, those are the times where actually you learn and you grow and someone kind of pokes you in the chest. And I love JC. I consider him a great friend at the time. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? It wasn't about the money for me. It was like what he said to Emma multiple times. Like, hey, I'm going to take you to the top. I'm not going to let you down. I get he's got to make a play. I just wanted him to make the play and say, hey, I'm sorry if it hurt you, but I got to do it for my family. But it just never happened. I was hoping to get a little remorse out of him.
Yeah, it's very interesting to watch how there hasn't been a whole lot of sorry or a whole lot of accountability taken for doing that to Emma. I just thought that was interesting.
I don't blame him for taking the money. And it's one of these things where you look around and you kind of go, gosh, like, what are the chances of me getting $5 million? Not a ton. Let me go for the money grab and let me go for it. So I get that. But you can also do that and say, hey, I'm sorry.
I was one of the people that held Michael accountable as well, because I felt that once we found out the amount that JC took and then the fact that he took more than anybody else, everybody was focused on JC because all of our relationships with JC, he knew all of our stories. He told us that he loved us. He was constantly paying attention to the little things that everybody was doing. He was okay with calling out somebody's behavior. And I just thought that his integrity could hold to that. When he took the money, I was like, okay, cool, dude, just stand on it. So when I saw that he kind of backtracked and was like, no, I had to do this. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Like you had to do that for your family. And he was like, no, it's because A, B, C, D. I was like, excuse me? What do you mean? This is what you're saying, but these were your actions. Where is the disconnect for you? When he took us into that magenta suite, I thought that he was going to do something similar to Jeff, which was essentially 1, apologize, 2, take accountability, stand on what you did, and then 3, perhaps even say, hey, if there's a time or a place for me to make things right, at least with Emma, who he had stated multiple times that that was his person, or even Queen, JC was her best friend. But the fact that he didn't do that, I was like, who really is JC? I just remember thinking, it is what it is. I can't hold on to that feeling, especially not in a competition. You have to keep going or you drown. But I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
I can imagine. Very well said, though. Very, very well said. Sorry to backtrack, y'all. I just was curious because that was such a big moment and it does affect the towers a lot. We get to the time Jeff gets voted in. Everybody was on the same page.
I got super lucky to be able to go in second. That's when things kind of got different because once you're down in these seats, you can kind of see all the action going. You can't hear anything on the towers, but you can see things moving and you get to hear the votes come in. And you start just kind of seeing a little bit of discontent as people kind of started to feel the pressure.
I can't imagine having to sit there the entire time watching that. That had to be kind of stressful.
It was stressful, but it was also fun. I mean, I got to spend so much time talking to Mac and Carl.
The next timer starts. Who gets voted in this time?
Tawana.
It was Tawana. That's right. Yeah, Tawana. Do you guys think that was another consensus?
No. So Tawana and we had a conversation conversation, she called me. She told me, hey, I'm getting really nervous. I have a bad feeling. People want me to go at the end. I understand why they're saying that, but it leaves me in a tough spot. She said, I've sacrificed a lot to get here and I don't want to keep sacrificing. I remember telling her, like, hey, you know what? This is your round. We're taking you. Patrick immediately, he had called me and he had told me, hey, Tawana's going this round. I know that not everybody wanted it that way because they wanted Tawana's vote. They had also stated that she had more money than everybody else, so she was going to be able to bribe herself through. And I had asked her, like, hey, I know this is a lot to ask for. In the last minute of your time, would you mind sending me 10 grand? I'm going to need it for the next round. That's what she did. She waited to the last minute of the round. She sent me that. And I think most people voted her through.
Were you already devising a plan when you were asking for the 10K? Like, had you been kind of cooking something up?
Oh yeah, since we sent Emma through, I already knew what I wanted to do. The tide had changed. That magenta suite with JC, he definitely switched everything. Like if JC wouldn't have taken the money and wouldn't have held that meeting in the suite, he essentially would have moved forward and not me. He was
Really?
everybody's favorite. Yeah, definitely.
Well, then, I mean, that kind of worked out well for you then. Your strategy was so good. You went in after Tawana, right?
Yeah, I was in the fourth one. I knew that I had to wait for the correct round where things were starting to get a little shaky for my plan of work.
Tell me what you guys thought about Patrick's idea of the boy girl strategy.
Keep in mind, this was introduced after Emma, so it was already girl and boy.
Yes.
So it was actually girl boy. So like on paper, it makes sense. It's split 3-3. The island was I think 31-29. The top 10 was 5-5. Okay, like well, let's keep it even still. I thought it was harmless when I heard it. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Sounds pretty fair. Until I watched the episode. And when I watched the episode, I'm like, oh, either brilliant move. And whoever called it out, well done. That was smart.
I remember I didn't know, who was actually going to go with Patrick's plan and who wasn't. Because at this point, Patrick was standing on shaky ground with everybody. I remember him telling me that, and I was like, oh, okay. I just kind of listened to him. And then I talked to Queen. She was like, what do you think about boy girl? I was like, absolutely not. I was like, look, all three of them can't go through. And I'm referring to Jeff, to Patrick, and to Gage. We all know what Jeff is here for, so I'm not gonna like hold Jeff back. Jeff, he's going through. I was debating who I wanted to help, Patrick or Gage. Gage was able to identify when he's being manipulated, which means he is able to manipulate people. I can't really see Gage coming, but Patrick is straightforward, but he's so smart. So I thought, dang, like who am I going to go with? And I actually had a misunderstanding with something Patrick had said. So that's why I went in the direction of Gage. The smallest things matter. The tiniest things matter.
I would have been like shaking in my boots.
You would have had fun, Corn. I mean,
Really?
like this is like you. Oh, I've seen you do werewolf. Are you kidding me? You would have harnessed that and kind of just probably played maestro. You would have crushed it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nerve wracking, but I think one thing that's really interesting, and I don't know when 8:30 Tawana said it. It kind of came out that she gave you 10K, and she goes, "Yeah, if anybody else would have asked me, I would have helped him too." She gave Yessie the money because Yessie asked. I just thought it was really cool. And I mean, watching it, Yessie, like, man, you are so clear in your communication. I think Tawana felt for the people who did not get close to $100,000 and would have helped them if they would have asked.
They don't show this, but she actually asks everybody if they want any money. We had actually been talking on the phone, just messing around for too long, that she forgot to offer me money. I was like, well, it's kind of awkward, but I have to try everything. Let me ask her. My plan doesn't work unless Tawana goes along with this. That was probably my riskiest move. But I think just knowing Tawana's character, I wasn't that worried. Like that was really fun for me. It was essentially really fun until the end of my round. Yeah.
Were you pretty sure by the end of your round that you were going to have a spot, or were you really unsure?
I was pretty sure I was going to have a spot. I knew I had at least 3 votes because when I was talking to everybody, I had told Courtney, Gage, what my strategy was during Tawana's round because those were 2 people that I wanted to help out. I told them how I wanted to leverage that, how I thought that I could buy JC and Michael's vote. I had trusted them because I thought that I could. At the next round, since Tawana sends me the money in the last minute, everybody's like, "Oh, well, yes, he's got money. She's good. Like she's set. Like she doesn't need to go to the next round." And I remember I like talked to Queen, and she was like, "Hey, nice to see your 14 grand.
Ah!
I was like, no, 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 I'm not keeping this. I'm doing this to leverage it. If you vote for me, I'll go ahead and I'll send you money and then you can do the same thing the next round. She was like, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll do that. With Courtney, she was adamant about not taking my money at first. So I told her, I was like, listen, Courtney, I'm sorry to break this to you, but we are not anybody's favorite here. We have to strategize or do something to get through to the next round. I just have to get more money than everybody else. So I sent her the most money. I was trying to help out Gage as well. So I sent him money. Then when I got to Patrick, he was like, no, I don't want any money. I just want your vote. So I thought, oh my gosh, is Patrick gonna just not vote for me? Is he the one that's gonna go through? I did the same thing I had done with Tawana the past round, and I waited for the last minute to send everybody money. And unlike Jeff, I am not a numbers person. I had Tariq there with me, and he's trying to interview me, and I was like, not now, Tariq. I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude. I'm trying to do math. And I start hearing somebody literally like screaming my name. And it's JC. So I run over to my phone and I get it. And I'm still trying to do the math as I'm talking to JC. That's when he tells me, send me 10 grand and I will give you my vote. What really went through my mind was, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're the person with the most money.
And you just
You
want
see
10?
somebody's, bro, I was like, get out of here. I'm a delayed processor. So what I said to him, I was like, that money is gone. Look at the screen. And then the fact that he just hung up on me, that's when I was pissed off with JC. You already have more than 500,000 for your family, and you see me sending money to people that have way less than you, and you want some of the pie. I was like, excuse me? Is more than 500,000 not life-changing enough for you? That's where my downfall was. I got so caught up in my feelings that I literally did the math wrong and I didn't leave anything for Patrick. So I thought, oh my gosh, if Patrick does vote me through, essentially I've left him with nothing. I've left him defenseless. Now he doesn't have an opportunity. I wanted it to be as fair as possible where everybody had a fighting chance because we had gone through so much. For me, the relationships that we made, those were real and they are still real. I felt really bad. In the end, when you see me walking away, I'm like, I'm sorry. That was me apologizing to Patrick.
Oh,
I felt horrible about that. So I was really, really upset with JC. I was like, JC, I don't
dang.
like you right now.
I think JC was really torn. Like, cause he called me. I forgot to share this when I was before I got voted in. Jeff, I know you're a straight shooter. I want to get back in the game. Like, do you think I have a chance? And I said, the first thing you got to figure out is how much money are you willing to lose? Like, how much money are you willing to give somebody and they might not vote for you? And I think that just when he heard that, he's like, he wanted to get into the top 6. I think he was just so torn between how do I do this? Do I bribe it or do I just try to get more money? And Mikey kind of leaned into it. Mikey just said, hey, let me scrape up another 10 or 15 grand, which I think he did.
One thing that I thought was so ironic was when he was trying to get Queen's vote and she asks for 150K, which is almost what she would have gotten if he had let you guys split it evenly. I just think it's so funny. He was like so upset at her for asking for $150,000.
Watching that, I lost it. He went from me to Queen, and then he tells Patrick, I'm not gonna vote for you and stuff like that. But then he tells Courtney, like, oh, you haven't asked for anything. Even though Patrick did the same thing. I was like, JC, what is going on here? I was like, I don't like that. I was disappointed with that. He had asked me practically the same thing that Jeff asked. And I told him, look, none of these rounds are going to be your rounds except the second to last or the last round. If you want to win big, you got to risk big. Like for me, my round, if I wouldn't have gotten through with bribing everyone there, I was already okay with going home. Like it was all or nothing for me. I felt like JC had one foot in and one foot out, and nothing's gonna work out for you like that.
He was gonna have to give up almost everything he had if he was gonna want to make it through. I still don't know that he would have made it through, honestly. A few people paid and didn't, or like got paid and didn't uphold their end of the bargain, right? Like that happened a couple times.
Yeah, that happened to me with Gage and Courtney.
Right.
I saw that coming.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. Like, I still want to help you guys out. Like, it is what it is. It's scary up here. I get it.
Patrick is joining us. Oh, Gage is here too. Hold up. Let me add him as well. I appreciate y'all joining in. Do you guys really quick before we get into talking about it want to shout yourselves out? You're not into that?
I'm a ghost.
Okay. Patrick, I saw that you made
Yeah, I
yours
know.
like unprivated, right?
I am public to the world now. You can follow me at Patrick Harrell Jr. on Instagram.
I wanted to ask y'all, in the beginning with Emma and Jeff, did y'all feel like you had consensuses over that? Did y'all feel good about both of those choices in the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I was just curious.
The first 2 rounds are really interesting.
Okay.
Because I am immediately like, oh, Emma. And they don't show that, but I was like trying to champion Tawana and Emma from the beginning. The real interesting one is the second vote. The second the bell rings, I get a phone call from JC, the guy who just called me the puppet master, the guy I want to exchange choice words with. They're not appropriate for television. And he's like a little aggressive. And he goes, I'm pushing Jeff through. Are you with me? Sir, this is my best friend.
What the
Of
heck?
course I'm with you. Click. And so we're pushing Jeff hard from like literally the first 10 seconds. They always edit the show differently, but the first 2 votes were like shoo-ins. And Jimmy comes to me and he's like, what are you doing? I'd be on the phone. He would go up and get on the phone to the other person, be like, Patrick, and I'd hang up and be like, I'm trying to do business. Stop. Think like he was saying, why are you voting your friends in? This is a really bad strategy. Jeff's hair breeds loyalty, so I had to do what I had to do, and Emma got screwed, so it made the most sense.
I think we're on Gage's now. His mastermind moment, which I need to hear about.
Before you go there, Yessie came down, and Yessie looked like she just came out of the cubes. That's
Are
when
you
I realized it was
serious?
different. Like, oh, like she just went through some stuff. This game is transforming.
I just felt
Worse.
so bad that I left Patrick with nothing there. And he and I, we've had this conversation so many times. It's fine now that I know where his thoughts were. But in that moment, I was like, oh, I can't believe I left him defenseless.
Why don't we go into Gage's round? Tell me about your strategy. How quickly did you develop this strategy? Did you know you were going to do that? Or did that just kind of develop organically?
Yeah,
let
Gage.
me preface something. So I am not I am not sure specifically how everything happened. I'm assuming they showed everything the way in which it transpired, but I don't remember like actively trying to lie to you, Yessie, and saying that Michael was like, we just had communicated and then lied to you about the exchange. Like, I was like, wait a minute, what? Then you responded with like, wait, is that what happened? I think it got taken out of context a little bit. What I legitimately think I meant was I knew he wasn't going to vote for me. Everyone was saying like how he was so sporadic with accepting money and not voting for them. Like, I hadn't communicated with him. I don't know why they inserted that.
I do remember that conversation between you and I. And I remember the round before that, I had told you, like, hey, this is how I'm getting through. This is what I'm doing. Like, I'm
Right.
going to give you and Courtney money, you know, possibly Queen and
Right.
Patrick. And that's how I was going to move us all forward.
And you were
And I-
telling me to take money from T too. Money
Yeah.
You were like,
Yep.
hey,
Mhm.
T's willing to give us like a whole bunch of money to be able to get us through.
And I remember you said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to go that route. Gage, I was like, this is the time to step up. When you had pointed out in the Magenta Suite, JC was deflecting, and you noticed that, you know, we were kind of being a little bit manipulated. I thought, oh,
Master Deflector. Which they
I'm
cut
gonna
out.
make a t-shirt with you right there.
Yeah.
That's literally what you said. You said Master Deflector. Like, and you
I wish they
told
took
him
that
straight up, right? I just thought I had to watch out for Gage. Like I didn't even see him coming. In that sense, though, you had just told me that Michael was taking money from everyone, and Courtney had just told me that Michael was taking money from everyone. So I was like,
Yeah.
they're playing me. To me, Michael had always been straight up about who he was. Like he had dropped little comments. He had told me, hey, you're young, you'll be fine. So I was like, wait, is anybody
Right.
listening? This guy's waiting
Right.
for his chance.
And I thought Michael and I had good rapport too. So it was a mix. It was like, oh wow, is he gonna vote for me? Should I trust him even if I give him the money? Is it just a throwaway thing? It was very disorienting to say the least in terms of strategy. Corn, that in that round completely came last minute, like organically.
Okay.
Yeah, that was not pre-planned.
I think this is part of your ploy.
Yeah, right.
Master
Yeah,
Deflector.
you can see a master deflector. You can be a master deflector. And I don't think you want to show your tricks.
I wish I could give myself the credit But honestly, it was like, how am I gonna get through? Because I remember Chandler was there when I found out from Queen that it was going to be Queen and Courtney to go through. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's it then. And then Chandler's like, wait, what? That's it? I'm sitting there, I'm just like, gosh, how am I gonna do this? I'm not gonna be able to get through. Unless I felt like the only move that I had was to essentially lie to everyone, tell everyone that I was voting for them in exchange for their vote, and then throw away the vote. That is the one thing that I regret. I regret not voting for Courtney, because I didn't even have to throw away my vote, and I still would have been able to get through, because Courtney and I were voting for each other, and then her reaction to it was pretty rough. That actually got me.
Oh.
My reaction, I was just like, beautiful. I'm so proud of you. I was so proud. I went up to Jeff and said, look at him. He had it in him the whole time.
You were literally yelling at me from the tower.
I was so
100
proud.
yards away. Yeah, and it was such a good kind of contrast. Kind of get scolded by Courtney. Queen kind of throws on, and you apologize. I mean, you have the immediate mea culpa, and then you go over to Patrick, and it's like handshakes and like pats on the back. It was cool. It was Puppet Master kind of it was kind of like he knighted you, and you kind of went to a new rank.
The
That meant a
real
lot,
puppet
Patrick.
master.
We
Right,
kind of
yeah,
trade the
definitely.
beliefs each round. Like, we'd believe I was going to go through, and then we'd be like, whoa, maybe you will. And so then after 3, I was like, he's screwed if he doesn't do something. That's what I truly believe, unfortunately, because of the situation in JC and all that. And then he did what he did. He freaking survived and advanced, and I was so damn proud.
Dude,
Yeah.
when I heard you yelling at Gage, like, congratulating him and stuff, I was like, is he being sarcastic? And then Gage walks up, and everybody kind of had a comment about Gage's strategy, right? It was either brilliant or like, well, why is he being dishonest? And I was like, look, guys, don't judge him. You don't know what it's like up there.
Yes,
Like he
exactly.
did what he had to do. And then Gage gets there and I give him a hug and I was like, hey, it's okay. And he was like, dude, I can't believe I lied to Courtney. He's like holding his head between his hands. And I was like, you lied to me too. It's okay. And Gage, he was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, but I get it. Your loyalty is with Courtney. He was like, no, yeah, see, it's not like that. I was like, dude, chill. I was like, you told me you were gonna vote for me. You took my money. You didn't. But like, it's okay. Like, I wanted you to get through, and it is what it is, And he was like, and then he looks up at Courtney and he just puts his head down. He felt really bad. That wasn't easy for Gage, but he did what he had to do.
It was another kind of cube reaction, Corn, where like, I mean, Gage looked like he's seen a ghost. You weren't inconsolable, but you kind of wanted to be to yourself, and you knew you wanted to make amends with Courtney kind of right away.
Yeah, I remember Klitzner coming over. He's like reminding me as I'm very distraught. He's like, that happened like a long time ago, even though it happened just like 10 minutes ago. He's like, you got to suck it up. I tried to do my best.
Honestly, watching it, I was shocked because I was like, I did not expect that from Gage. I did kind of wonder if it was something that developed like in the moment and it was sort of just like a lot of overwhelming things going on. Honestly, though, it was good strategy. Like, you did well. What was it like to watch that from the seats? What was it like hearing the votes come in and watching that? Were you shocked that it was Gage, or did you have a feeling?
When I was watching that, I was like, oh my gosh, Gage is doing it. Because the last conversation I had with Gage, I could see him in the monitor in front of us, and he was just kind of like leaning against the wall, and he had like the phone. He was like, oh yeah, see, I really, really want to get through. Get your own strategy. Like, let's do this. I was like, Gage, I'm sorry, you're not a favorite either. Like, we're in the same boat. Let's get going somehow. I was in the same way as Patrick, kind of like, he's not gonna get it through. But as the calls were coming through, as soon as I heard there was a vote for Michael, I was like, oh my gosh, somebody is throwing away their vote. Like, who is it? I was shocked about Gage doing that, but I was like, oh my gosh, he's completely securing it. I was like, okay, I respect it. I'm like,
Yeah.
do your thing, Gage.
And Corn, that's one of the things is we actually know who they vote for. They say, floor number 7, 937, it's your time to call. It's like when Gage voted for Mikey, it was like, what? What? Brilliant. It was like, I just remember kind of going, oh my gosh, that is so clever. Just a brilliant way to have a throwaway vote that isn't going to impact you. I thought it was just, I was surprised. It was sweet.
So then you're down there, very sad, red box face and mentality. Were you excited to see that Courtney made it through after that? Or were you kind of like, oh.
I actually didn't want her to go through the whole time. No, of course. Yeah. Yeah, it was a relief.
Yeah.
It was a relief for sure.
Were y'all cool?
And then I'm so glad they showed it too, because after she's like hugging everyone, she gives me a hug and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I almost cried. And then she's like, I'm not mad at you. I know it's just a game. So that felt good, but I'm just glad she made it. Looking back at everything, she played a great social game.
She's very likable and just very,
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
easygoing. Patrick, tell me about how you were feeling. Gage goes up there. Are you pretty sure you're going home at this point? Or are you like, yeah? When did you start realizing you're like, all right, I might be gone? Three.
I was like, I was fighting, but like after 4, I went, okay. You know, when I started Beast Games, I'd spent 3 years just trying to get in a Mr. Beast video. Hadn't taken a vacation day in 3 years. I'd missed family dinners to study their videos on YouTube to prepare for something that probably might never happen. And it happened. And I met Jeff and I met the Avengers. In my opinion, we ran a very good game and we
Did.
made a
Yeah.
lot of friends. So I had 2 goals going in. I want to make top 10 and I want to become genuine friends with these people at Mr. Beast so that one day maybe I can get a video and get my dad the house that he lost. That is all I cared about. I didn't give a shit about me getting money. I really just wanted to get to the end, to be honest with you. I accomplished those 2 goals. I got to top 10. I made friends with the Beast team and I made lifelong friends and I played, in my opinion, a game that I'm really proud of. That's kind of my experience with Beast Games and I was very grateful because it was, I mean, you all knew me. This was my dream. This was an opportunity of a lifetime. Some may say an adventure of a lifetime, right, Jess?
It was absolutely was. Do not steal my line. So we're lining up for the family visit, all 10 of us, and they're coming like one in front of the other to say, hey, like, give us, a 20-second, soundbite on Beast Games.
Like
Patrick,
why
what
you're here. What are you playing for,
Okay.
kind of thing.
and like, how was the experience? And so I asked him, like, what are you gonna say? He's like, and honestly, he was like, it was an adventure of a lifetime.
So he goes, I'm not going to steer your line. I'm not going to steer your line. I'm just nervous. I don't know what to say. Jeff goes up, freaking Jeff. And he goes, well, Klitz, it's an adventure of a lifetime.
I look at him like, I swear I didn't mean to. It just came out.
He goes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, it's fine.
Anytime I can use it, anytime you see me say adventure of a lifetime, it's a little inside joke between Patrick and I.
He was so concerned after. He's like, I really didn't. I know I said I wouldn't copy you, but
I felt so bad.
Dude, you're
That's
blushing right now. That's hilarious.
Hey,
That's great.
I felt bad. I stole his one line.
I couldn't care
Oh,
less. I
God.
thought it was hilarious. There's so
Yeah.
much lore that's not shown. Like even in the tower votes.
Yeah, I heard
for
something
sure. I
about
think we all
prank
did.
calls. What did we miss on the towers, guys?
Let me say one that I thought was pretty funny now that Patrick gave some background about his experience with Jimmy. Jimmy comes onto my platform. He's like, hey, what are you up to? I was like, well, I'm just watching people. He's like, you're just watching people? I was like, yeah, like, look at what's going on. And he was like, oh, look, 930 isn't talking to anyone. I was like, oh, should I call him? And he was like, and then hang up. And I was like, okay. He called Patrick. He picks up and we just hang up and we're like giggling and stuff and Patrick's like we're seeing him in the monitor and he's like looking around and later on Jimmy starts hanging up on me, so I was like, don't hang up on me, that's so rude. And I was like, oh, that's karma. But that was
That
my
was
favorite
you?
one. That was Jimmy
That's
and
funny.
I.
Dude, he kept messing with me with a bunch of people. He'd go on their lines, be like, he'd take the phone from the mid talk, be like, Patrick. And I'm like, goodbye. I've never heard this story. And this is why I love these live streams with Corin as the master host. That's crazy.
Aw.
I love that story.
What other calls, prank calls were going on? Tell me about it.
Well, I called JC and said I'd vote for you. No, I'm just kidding.
It wasn't a prank call, but it was when Yessie was getting in. I remember Jimmy knew that Patrick and I were close, and he looked at me, and goes, not looking good for 9:30. Again, these are 2 game masters who can see stuff that I can't see, and I'm going, let's see what he can do. And that was the first time where I kind of got a little nervous. One thing that I thought was great, and they didn't do it well in the episode, is Patrick Carroll, nice Irishman. He looked like an 80-year-old Irish mob boss taking bets
Oh
for
my
games.
gosh, yeah.
He would just sit in front of the chair with his little beanies. He just looked like an old man. Like, okay, what do you want for the Celtics game? Oh, you got the Knicks minus 2.5. All right, got it.
So, life on the towers, what it was like to be there. I mean, I guess Patrick knows the most about being on the towers as he was there the rest of the time.
Tell you what, it was cold. It was real cold.
It
I can't
looked
imagine. Like,
cold.
if I got picked 5 or 6, I would have protested with the producers just based on my fear of heights. I would have been like, listen, I'll take a lower floor. I'll go 10. I'll switch with 10. I don't care. They can have the 5th spot. Yay for them. I'm not standing on the top of this freaking tower, bro. It's too high. Of course, who gets on the top? Mom and Dad.
Mom
Koana
and
and Jeff.
Dad.
How
The
fitting.
cool thing, though, on the top, it was freezing, but that's where everybody hung out. Sketch was up there, so I got to talk to Sketch, which was awesome.
cool.
And that's like when I finally realized what date it was. I was trying making small talk, like, what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, I'm watching the Houston Texans game. And I'm like, it's football season already? Got to talk to Matt, got to talk to Carl and Chandler. It's just, that's where everybody was hanging out. So like, I was like very thankful.
Was the view pretty?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
The view was, you could see everything.
Is there anything else you want to say about the towers that we didn't cover? Anything that we missed? Anything, any stories? Anything you can think of that you wanted to share about your experience on the towers?
For me, it was just kind of the overall. I had so many funny interactions with Mac, with Chandler. Like, they did not obviously include any of it, but I wish they would have just to relieve from the tension. I did a lot of those Jim Halpert hands to the camera. Chandler was just like, "Are you gonna make a move?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna make a move." They cut all that out, but
Gage, can you please talk about the first thing you did when you walked into your bunk when, that home was all to yourself? This is like one of my favorite things.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
yeah.
Do we know this, Jeff?
So right when I went into the bunk, they had, the two chairs, the bed, carpet, that was it, but then the little bear. So I sat down in one of the chairs and I knew we were being filmed. I'm doing a voice for my little bear buddy as my therapist. Just
So
like having a
creepy.
full-on 10-minute long conversation. So I'm just talking with myself. I pretend to go insane. Well, pretend. Maybe I did. I'm running around the room. I'm doing jumping jacks. I'm doing snow
Oh
angels
my
on the
God.
carpet. I really tried to ham it up because I feel like I was such a dud the whole time. It was so emotionally draining. I was just like, I need to do something to
Oh.
redeem my character to show that I actually do have a personality.
You are literally one of the funniest people I know. I literally turned that little bear around and I was like, don't you look at me. I was like, if you move, we're gonna have a problem. And then
Yeah, if I
Gage
see a
comes
little
out,
red light in your eyes.
and Gage comes out and he's like, I just had the best time in my room. And then he was singing, he has a great voice too.
The bear was. I walked in and went, no, this isn't for me. Very spooky, very dark. I'm not sleeping with my back to nothing. I need this bed against the wall. So I moved my bed against the wall and I'm sleeping just trying to watch both doors while I sleep. I got rid of the bear. Apparently some of y'all kept the bear, which is a questionable choice if you ask me. I think Jeff brought up, Jeff, did you give it to your son? And I was like, ugh, why'd you keep that thing?
Yeah, no, it's in his bed.
Oh my
He
God.
loves it.
Wow,
Dude,
that's so sweet
Jeff,
for him.
get it.
But
Get it right
check the
now, Jeff.
eyes. Yeah, the eyes, bro.
You know what's crazy? I had left my bear in one of the bunks because we were getting moved. And then I get into my new bunk and I have two freaking creepy bears. I was like, who is doing this? Are they trying to make me go crazy or be more scared? Because it's working.
Does Gage have a bear?
He had a therapeutic bear.
Oh, is that the bear?
No.
Oh
Oh my
my
gosh.
God.
Wait, that's a
Wanna
cute
hear the voice?
bear.
Clown. Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
Gage,
do the
please
voice.
let us hear the
Yeah,
voice.
do
Yeah,
the
I want
voice,
to. I
do
want to
the
hear the
voice.
voice too.
Oh, it is the bear. Oh my God. Oh.
Welcome to therapy.
You're
Lauren, I
my
have some
top three,
questions.
Jeff.
Yeah. What are your questions?
Did we get into towers and the edit and some people's choices who took a lot of money? I didn't know if Jeff had spoke on that yet.
Episode 8?
How the edit of episode 9 went with towers and people's choices.
I guess we didn't talk about the edit. I would love some context if there's things that they missed.
Why don't you say what's on your mind, Pat?
Yeah.
I
Don't
saw
wanna know.
things that I didn't know, and
Oh.
it surprised me.
Okay.
Like people and choices made.
You got the floor.
I just didn't know he asked Yessie for money, and that kind of confused me. And I think there's one thing with Tawana and Yessie where they're like, yeah, fuck that plan and Patrick, or something like the. And I kind of love that. I was like, yeah, I love it. I like when people are playing the game.
Your
We're
boy
tight.
boy girl strategy.
You did address that, Pat.
That was
man.
so what? Oh, how did that? How was that the strategy?
Because the fight. The JC Magenta House fight literally changed the entire game. I'm telling you right now, if that fight didn't happen,
Yeah.
I would have been voted in. I'm not even trying to be
Yeah.
ego or bravado or whatever. The Avengers Alliance are strong. Our friends are strong. We have a really good spot with everybody. We haven't done anything shady. Imagine that
Yeah.
nothing ever happened and we go into the votes and that's all you saw.
No,
fight.
Corn.
JC didn't take a lot of money. I take $0. I'm getting in based off just the sheer fact that I did that and everybody else has money. But when you get called out like that in this alliance, and then it turned into this male-female thing, in my opinion, he's calling out to all the top 10 in the Magenta House why we're getting them out, and Emma's expendable, which she was not. All this bullcrap. Oh my God, now it's going to be the girls versus the guys. And we just lost 2 guys because JC and Mike are out. So now it's 3 versus 5. We're already now oh my God, are the girls going to trust us? Or where do I stand as the puppet master? This is a problem. And so when we go into votes, I realized I genuinely thought it'd be fair if it was girl, boy. I was actually just trying to be fair and then didn't even realize the strategy would screw the girls over. I literally was trying to be fair, to be honest with you. That's the funniest part about it. And then I was like, oh, this actually works for us. So I'm just not going to say anything.
I thought
Yeah.
you were playing me.
No, I was trying to be,
I was like,
I was trying to be
oh.
fair. How cool would that be?
Okay.
you know?
Okay, boy, girl, boy, girl. Oh, and then I talked to Queen, and I was like, dude, he's trying to get me out.
I am screwed because of this fight. I need to play fair. I need to do the right thing. So I'm going to vote in my friends, even if it kills me. And I'm going to try to do girl boy because that seems fair too, based off all this like male female alliance bull crap. That then turned into Patrick has a scheme. And I'm like, actually, this is just me trying to like save face and be real. It happened to work in my advantage. I'm just a dum dum and didn't really figure out the math until like later on. But by that point, nobody was even doing the plan anymore. So I'm glad I got a cool edit out of it, but not the intent.
Good cover, for sure.
And so yes, like kind of shared in that, like, hey, like I'm kind of over alliances. So fight in the magenta room. So let's play out kind of Patrick's hypothetical. Let's say that thing didn't happen. Would you have felt the same way, do you think? Like, were you kind of just over these?
No. So before the magenta suite happened and before I got called disposable and whatever else JC said, when my family visited, I was actually that scene where they show me speaking in Spanish to them. That was me telling them everybody's story. And I was deciding on who to back, which would have been JC, Tawana, or Jeff. I really admired you guys. I still admire most of you guys. So I was essentially like already accepting what my fate would be because we had been playing a social game and all of my closest friends were gone. So I thought, okay, who can I help out? And how am I going to walk away with something? Those were my two goals. So once there was that twist in the magenta suite, I was like, all right, I'm over this alliance. Like, I thought even though they had an alliance, they were playing with integrity. They were being open about most things. But then JC just like came in. I remember watching the three of you, and I had made eye contact with Jeff. And he like kind of looked at me like in a sorry way, like in a remorseful way. And I
Aw.
remember thinking, is he feeling guilty or is he just like feeling bad that JC just said all of these like horrible things to us? But if that wouldn't have happened, the three of you would have moved forward, JC would have moved forward, Tawana would have moved forward, and then Emma or Queen. Maybe Courtney if Gage would have spoken up for her, but no, I had no chance in that whatsoever.
Now that like we've kind of gotten through all of these the tower situation, you're done with the towers. Tell me your feelings being accepted into the top 6. You know you are in the top 6. How do you guys feel?
You know, I really liked getting into the top 6 personally. I was greeted by Jimmy with a platter of Feastables, and then I woke up in my bedroom and was like, "What's going on?" Oh, it was all a dream. But Jeff, back to you.
You are so goofy. I didn't go through what everybody else went through. Like, again, when Yessie and Gage came over, it was like a different vibe. Obviously, Emma's always kind of spry and happy, and Tawana's always kind of in her zone. I felt everything from Yessie, Gage, and Courtney. I see the guy who I played every challenge with literally get walked out of the gates like
Oh.
right then. And I was kind of like, gosh, 9:30. I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. But it just kind of felt like, it just felt bittersweet. Thinking about how I could have played it differently. What could I have done to get you in? Because again, I mean, like that was the dream from the get. Is like you said, is to get us all there and then get after it, and it'd be fair game. It was great to know I was moving on. It was odd to know that you weren't.
Bro,
Aw.
you're killing me. You're killing me.
Oh, Jeff.
Oh, Jeffy. I was so sad to leave, but I was so happy to look over and see Tawana and Jeff engaged there and just going like, oh my God, they're gonna fight like hell. The adventure of a lifetime, right, Jeff?
Oh.
No, stop lying. Stop that. That was the first to say it on camera. It's mine. Before anybody else gets going, Corn, I have to hop out, but this has been
Totally
awesome.
fine. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and telling us about your experience. Really quick, Jeff, do you want to shout yourself out one more time?
Awesome. Thanks, Corn. You can find me at legacy.831 on Instagram and legacy831 official on YouTube. Some cool videos about family, but also about some Beast content too. So check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Awesome.
One of the best things is like we really felt like we were a part of something. The
Yeah.
crew knew us and we knew them, and it felt real and it felt special.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
you'd really done something. You'd reached this level in the game that
Yeah.
players just don't ever really see. You know, we were the 1%, and that is something that no matter when you get out at that point, what a feeling to have for the rest of your life.
It didn't feel real. It honestly didn't feel real.
I didn't want
just
to go
wanted
back
comprehend
home.
it.
Yeah.
Literally feels
Yeah,
like summer camp.
Yeah, adult summer camp.
Yes.
The summer camp that I never had as a child.
Gage's 12-year-old adventures with the door. Yo, I do Muay Thai. I forgot about that.
When's the last time you put on a gi, Patrick?
Oh man, bro. So Corn, I don't know
He
if you
does
know
Muay
this,
Thai.
but
Wait,
I did
what?
Muay Thai. I did Muay Thai, and I would get clowned for it a lot because like at one point they asked us like how we had trained, and I just took the camera because it was like they wanted us to be serious, like tough, like give a line or two, and I was like,
Okay.
I do Muay Thai 6 days a week. And Jeff is in the side like. Like I did do that. Like it's not a lie, but it's just funny to watch me say it to him. He's my buddy, he's clowning me. And that just caught on like wildfire. Like Queen was so funny with it. Gage, fingers of speculation. I do Muay Thai
Yeah.
6 days a week. I do weights. I run at lunch. There were like a bunch of phrases. Those were mine, but like other people had phrases. Like Jeff's was, and he would do it
You
like this
guys
too.
are.
He would do it like this. Here's the deal. And he'd like cue it up. And then Yessie, like she has such a unique voice, like almost like a voiceover actor. And so she'd be like, wait guys. Like she would say stuff like elongated and it was so like funny and cute. She would say shit and we would just die, like she'd tell a joke like in that way and we would just die laughing. And then Gage, he'd have this soft little this buttery soft whisper and he'd go, JC, I didn't know you were so good at this game. You're a master deflector. And you're just like a pin drop in the room. Like when Gage spoke when he wasn't joking
Is
around,
that what he
it's like,
said?
oh my God, I'll
Mhm.
never forget. Because he's crouched
Yeah.
down and he's like, JC, you're a master deflector. And we're all like, oh my God. I think JC was pissed about it on the towers because, it's quite a line to throw at somebody.
Man, I really wish they would have kept in that interaction with us.
It was a lot of fun. Like everybody had their quirky little sayings and moments.
As we're getting sort of through the rest of the episode, I know that a lot of people were shocked about the coin flip situation. Gage, I wanted to hear about your thoughts about why did you decide to do it? Like, what were you feeling?
There were several things that played a factor into me choosing the coin flip. So I felt like I had already chosen to flip the coin right when I saw that was an option. I think the moment that I saw it and Jimmy was like, you can do it. And then Courtney saying she felt something positive from tails. I'm like, oh man. I kept going back in my mind to the cubes and like how amazing that felt to be able to get through and have that flip be in my favor. And also, I felt like so dirty from the previous challenge. Felt like I kind of owed it to other people to give us a chance to potentially double the money. A little bit of a redemption, but also, making a move myself and kind of solidifying myself as a player in the game, even though it was like completely like chance based. It wasn't there. I mean, flipping a coin, there was no skill. It was cool to be able to have that opportunity, and then Jimmy just hyping it up like the whole time, like this is gonna be the craziest thing ever. Like you could be the first one to do a $10 million coin flip. I was amped to say the least.
The way that they edited that, like, I felt like it happened so different because we were like, okay, let's get close to the coin. Like, let's talk about this. When I held the coin, I was like, this does not feel right. And I was going to go for heads. And then I hear you and Courtney talking about tails. And I was like, oh, heck no, this is not for me. It feels so wrong. My intuition is telling me don't go for it. But we're standing there because you, Jeff, and Tawana are all considering it. I was like, guys, are you guys sure? Like, we already have $5 million. And, like, Tawana's like, here, like, step to the side, like, let us talk. And I'm in the back, and I'm like, are you sure? I didn't even know that was going through your mind or that you were feeling that pressure. I think that speaks volumes to your relationship with Courtney as well. Like, that's really sweet. That's really cool. Very admirable.
It felt like my moment. It was just an intangible kind of feeling. I guess just like a sense of no matter what, it would be okay. It was weird.
Because he was so calm. He like came up behind us and he just like grabbed it.
I can't wait to see what happens. I'm so excited. This was such a shock. When you guys saw them bring out the extra money, what were you guys thinking?
I immediately asked Jeff, what is 10 million divided by 6? Jeff told me the number. I was like, no, that is not what Jimmy would do. I was like, don't tell me that this is going to be a bigger cash prize. Like that was my immediate thought.
I was expecting some sort of twist from Jimmy, of course. Did not see it coming, though, to be honest. I didn't see it coming at all. I thought initially that maybe there'd be 2 winners. I was hoping that would be the twist.
That would be a nice
Dude,
twist.
you know what, Corn? You know who did see this coming though?
Who? Oh, did you? Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, along with his 30 other guesses.
The
Throwing crap
accuracy
at the wall,
is.
bro. Yeah, it's like you got to hit something eventually.
What did you think it was going to be? Did you think it was going to be double, or did you think it was like you did?
So Gage, Jesse, I don't know if you remember this, but we were all sitting together, shunning Mike and JC. It was the 8 of us. Oh, we were pissed. We're looking at this box. We're looking at the towers and 10, 10 just kept playing in my head. And I'm like, they keep saying there's going to be this big twist. That's like the biggest twist in television history. I've seen every game show. I've seen every competition show. What would be the biggest twist in history? 2 winners of 5 million? He's not going to do that. That doesn't make sense. I was like, oh my God, what if it's 10 million? What if he doubles? He's such a grand spectacle. Like
Yeah.
all his stuff is like grandiose and crazy. It's like out of this world, right? That's Mr. Beast. In the moment I look at them, I go, guys, what if it's 10 mil? What if like you take money from that and it's like goes down from 10 to 9 million? Or what if it goes from 10 like somehow at the end of the game, the grand prize is revealed and it's like it's 10 million. And then we're like, whoa, Jimmy, you're crazy for this one, Mr. Beast. And then he's like, oh, by the way, the next game you're playing, you're gonna use some of that prize money. So let's see who's selfish.
Yeah.
Oh!
I'm glad you at least got to keep the coin.
they allowed me to keep it.
I'm glad.
Oh my God.
Well, Gage, I really hope you make it. I'm just telling myself it's 10 million and you've made it through because I'm gonna be crying and crushed if you get out.
I'm just so excited to see what happens next because I genuinely I knew what this last challenge was. I knew what all the challenges were up to this because I had heard from different people. I have no idea what this next one is, and I am so excited to see you guys do it. What was it like showing up to the filming day? Were you guys like nervous? Were you excited? Like tell me about showing up for that final game.
Production actually talked to all of us. They were like, "You are too calm. You're too collective. We need to see something." And we were like, "Oh, we're locked in." And they were like, "Locking in doesn't make good TV." Oh, and we were like, "We're locked in." Like,
No way.
Like we were all at peace.
Just happy to be there. I was so excited, much like the whole entire game, you know, every single time we made it through, I was just like, huh, how is this my life right now? Because it just felt so weird. I felt really grateful. Klitzner, like prior to going to the finale, and he was just like, this is it. Like, you are the show. And I'm just like, what the heck does that even mean?
Goosebumps. Like looking at all of us now, I feel greedy and I feel really grateful. I mean, we got so much, you know, like we got our families flown out. We got to live expense free for like a whole month. You know, we had our own chef. Like we had already won the lottery and I still wanted more. And I get it. We were here for a game show. But looking at it now, I was like, oh wow. We had everything. I had never experienced that like peacefulness and freedom with a twist of anxiety, you know. I was like, oh God. I was like, I really needed this. I think that every day I would wake up just feeling very grateful. Throughout the day, there would just be these little special moments. Like when I got my seat, yeah, like Jeff mentioned, I was really upset. Klitz pulled me aside. And I think that one of my traumas has always been wanting to control the narrative. So essentially, like, I wanted everybody to win one way or another, whether it was getting money or, you know, getting voted in. And that really upset me. And Klitz, like, he pulled me aside, and no one's ever done that to me when I'm in that state of mind. And he was like, hey, you can't have the cake and eat it too. He's like, lock in. And that is like my favorite part in the whole show.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
someone got through to me. And right after, Jeff comes running with the cake for me because he knew I was upset and I love sweets. Oh man, I started crying because I was so happy. I was like, oh, somebody sees me. Like, this is so sweet.
Guys, this has just been awesome. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I just really, really appreciate it. Will you guys shout out your social medias if you want to?
Instagram at Gage Gallagher. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be posting stuff.
Yesy the Bear on everything.
Okay. And Patrick?
Patrick Carroll Jr. on everything. And shout out to the literal after host of Beast Games, y'all. Corn is literally our Jeff Probst doing reunion shows every week. Like,
Oh, stop.
I'd be lost without these, dude. I tune in every
So
week.
cool.
I'm like #1 fan in the chat. I'm like, I love this. So cool that you do this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're great, Corn.
Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. I'm just so thrilled y'all could come and join. I love you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to all of my lovely guests for being here and spending your time talking with us about episode 9. It's awesome getting to hear these behind the scenes stories, inside jokes, and all of this stuff. And I miss all of you so much. Like big time. And so it's nice to get to chat again. Thank you to all of you for watching. We've gotten a lot of support and love here. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out and, you know, listening, tuning in. Subscribe, like, comment your questions down below. I'll do my best to answer. I don't know if I will be very good at answering at this point, though. I'm very sorry. I know just about as much as you do. Come hang out with us on stream. I stream on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Join the Discord. We have lots of Beast Games chats, and also we just chat about literally anything and everything. I appreciate all of you so much. I will talk to you guys later. Bye!